I make videos when I feel motivated to do so, either because I disagree or agree with the topic, or I feel some kind of emotional attachment to the subject, and I feel like I just gotta say something about it. And when it comes to the topic of this video, where apparently a bunch of people who left California to go to other places because of the myriad problems that this state has, I have to say that as much as it hurts my soul and devastates me to admit it, I don't want to live anywhere else other than San Diego, California. I mean, I'm sorry. I grew up in Charleston, South Carolina. My entire childhood, I grew up there. There will always be a special place in my heart for that area of the country. But the Marine Corps took me to California. I spent most of my adult life in California, virtually all of my adult life in California, minus a brief 2-year stint in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas. And I have to say, I didn't really like it there. As somebody who tends towards libertarianism, as somebody who believes in things like the Second Amendment, who believes that it's on each of us as individuals to protect ourselves and we should not be relying on the government to, try to control everybody into behaving properly. At the same time, when you live in a place that has what California has, that's the trap. And unfortunately, it's just a really good trap. As much as I hate the socialist government that's here, that just tries to dip its fingers into everything, that tries to charge you through the nose for everything, the housing market here that is completely out of reach for virtually everybody, the insane gas prices that we have here, the insane property prices of everything that's here. Even if you just want to get a piece of land, that's the majority of the cost. As much as I hate, as much as I despise and detest the government here in California, there is just something about California in general, but Southern California in particular, that is just, it's just like magic. There's no way you can encapsulate the feeling if you've never been, especially if you've never been here, but even then, only if all you've ever done is visit Southern California, you can kind of get a glimpse into what I'm talking about. But there's a massive difference between visiting Southern California and actually living here. And I don't even really go anywhere or do anything. I spend almost all, I can count on one hand the number of times I've left my trailer in the last 6 months, probably. Other than just going out to do the yard work and stuff that I do. But I've lived in other places. And they don't, my time as a Marine musician took me around most of the western half of the country. And a couple of places on the eastern side of the country. And I have to tell you, all of those places that I've ever been, they don't hit you the same way. They don't hit you the same way. There is something about the fact that, as much as we don't like the idea of multiculturalism, and I agree with that sentiment, we are Americans first, and that's the end of it. And if you want to live here, you need to conform to American values. I do believe that the mix of the culture that is subservient to being an American is a very good thing here. The fact that you can get all different kinds of things here is just like, it's magic. There's just, the people who know me in real life, who hate on California, you hate on California for a good reason. I'm not disputing that. But there's a reason that I have not been able to get myself to leave. Part of it was for certain personal reasons, but a lot of it, even if I didn't have those personal reasons, I think I probably would have ended up staying here anyway. Because Southern California just has some magic to it. There's a magic to it that you just can't, that isn't replicable anywhere else. You can go and live in other places for ideological reasons, and if those ideological reasons are powerful enough that it makes it worth it to you, I totally understand. I support you. Go for it. But short of the police coming in and telling us the Bill of Rights no longer applies, I have a hard time going anywhere else. There's just something about it. If you live here in Southern California, you know. You just know. I've spent 20 plus years of my life here in Southern California. All of it as an adult. Outside of my dreams of wanting to sail around the world, I don't want to live anywhere else. I just don't. I don't want to live anywhere else. As hard as it is to be here, with the money and the costs and all of the things and all of the problems that it has, there's just a magic to it. And it's going to take a lot more degradation for the negatives of what we have to live with to outweigh the positives of living here. Because when you don't see rain for 75% of the year, you don't have a cloudy day really for 75% of the year, 80% of the year, it's sunshine all the time, that kind of makes you happy. When the temperature, like if you're especially if you can live in like San Diego or like the coast of LA and like live reasonably close to the coast, and the temperature never goes above say 85 degrees most of the time. Like in August, we'll get up into the 90s sometimes. And it's a dry heat, so it's not as bad as South Carolina, where I grew up in, where it regularly gets up to 95 to 100 degrees with maxed out humidity. Same thing in Texas. It regularly gets up into the high 90s with maxed out humidity. As much as, you know, those of us who tend to have a more individual, libertarian / conservative view of how the world should be, as much as we dog on California, and rightfully so, our government here is trash, completely trash, completely is. I state that categorically. But just like I say when it comes to the United States of America, just because our government is trash doesn't mean that the people who live here are trash, and it doesn't mean that our country and the state and, you know, just the vision of what it is and what we're hoping and what we want it to be as a whole is trash. It's just too many people here are convinced that these liberal ideas are going to somehow work out, even though they never do. And unfortunately, more of those people live here than the rest of us. So it is what it is. But I just wanted to take a moment because I do feel very strongly. I consider myself a Californian. I grew up in South Carolina, but I'm so far removed from that at this point that I don't even really identify with that state anymore. It will always be home for me, but California's it, and it's going to take a lot more than what's happened so far to convince me that I need to leave. As much as I want to tell myself, this place sucks, and I'm gonna go find somewhere else that more aligns with my principles, I'm not. It's freaking Southern California, man. Like, what are you gonna do with that? So that's all I wanted to say. Hopefully that made sense. If you live here, it makes sense. If you live here and you truly value what you have here, then it makes sense. If you're an ideologue and, you know, you make your decisions based off of certain ideas, then maybe you don't. And there's no way you can understand it. But for the rest of you, there's a reason why so many people have come to California. There's a reason why so many people want to be here in California. And yes, while we did have a mass exodus of people, they're regretting leaving. I don't dog on them for leaving. I understand why they did it. But they're learning that the magic of this place goes with you and you miss it when you leave. It is what it is. So hit the like button, subscribe to help us reach 1,000 subscribers, and I'll see you for the next one.